Wow, hey everybody. Wow, I miss one stream and I forget how to do everything. Cause normally I do these streams like twice a week. Hopefully everybody can see and hear me okay. Good morning. I was supposed to do a stream Thursday because I always stream like Thursday, Sunday, and I was helping my sister move some furniture, so I just didn't have time Thursday to stream. But everything's fine, nothing to worry about. um, And I appreciate everybody getting up this early in the morning or late in the evening, whatever time it is for you. I'm always very grateful for your presence. It's uh, it's really a privilege for me to talk to everyone here because I know a lot of you are much more experienced photographers and have a lot to offer during the chat as well. So I welcome your feedback on anything we talk about, or if you have any questions about Olympus camera or gears, Olympus workspace, I'll do my best to answer them. But man, your question been getting tougher and tougher since I started. But let's see who's here. Let's see. We have Michael, Leon. It's always good to see you, Leon. John Matthews. Let's see. Randy, Roberto, Agnes, Bob. Good to see you. Bob emailed me the other day, wondering what happened to my stream on Thursday. Hey, Andreas, Randy. I think I saw Walter. Walter, good to see you. Excuse me. Let Deba know I got her email, and I read it. So I'll try and give her a call this week. See how things are going. I but I did get the email. I don't know what happened to my phone. For some reason, when I text out, people are not getting my texts. I tried to text her a couple of times and there was no response. And then I found out that people were not getting my text, so something's not right with my Google Voice setup. But that's that. And oh, Lysippus here. Good to see you. Barana, Kamabordi, Arthur. Oh my goodness, you're actually here with everybody on time. Normally you walk in like right at the end. But good to have you here this morning. And yeah, 7 a.m. in California. Okay, good. Yeah, I'll try and call this afternoon then, Walter. I have to go out and pick up one more piece of furniture today. But after that, I'll give a ring. Wow, Germany, 4 p.m. PJ Bell in Alaska. Oh, that's awesome. It's probably like 7 a.m. there or 6 a.m. It's probably pretty early there. What time is it in Alaska? I'm curious. What's the weather like too, like right now? Because we're supposed to have like 95 degrees or something here today. And 3 p.m. in London. So, this 10 a.m. slot seems appropriate, right? For me, it's 10 a.m. for most people, but at the same time, the only people here are people that it's appropriate for, right? So I don't know how many people are not here because 10 a.m. doesn't work for them. Oh, Marcia. Yeah, Florida. So jealous. I bet it's not only hot in Florida, it's like really humid too, right? But I don't mind it, really. And I got my AC blasting in the background, so if you hear a little bit of background noise while I'm talking, that's all it is. And Randy's gonna try another go. There's a comet out. What's his name? Someone's been emailing me almost every day this week about going out to picture some sunflowers. My memory. I think I'm getting dementia. I just saw their name like yesterday. I can't. If you're here, speak up. I'll recognize the name as soon as I see it. I don't know what's wrong with me. Hey, Mary, how are you? Oh, you're Neowise. Okay. What? Wait, Neowise. Wait a minute. What does that mean? Neowise. That's a new word for me. Um, Randy. It's not Randy. Oh, God, I can't remember his name now. He runs the local Northern Virginia Photography Club. And he's been emailing me all. Oh, the comment is Neowise. Okay, thank you. He's been emailing me all week to go out and take pictures. I almost made it last night, and then my mom called, and she was having problems, or she wanted a bigger screen for her cameras, her security cameras, because I don't know if anyone was here last week, but you know, her house, like at 2 in the morning, you know, there was some guy with a gun hiding in her backyard, and there was helicopters and police going on. And you know, there's always something going on, uh, right in my little neighborhood here. So that's why I installed all the security systems in both our homes. And it's amazing what we catch on camera sometimes. uh, but anyhow, like, there's people in my backyard. I can't figure that out. They're not staying there and like hanging out, but they like walk through my backyard when I'm not home. And it's not like I don't know, I can't figure it out. They don't take anything or anything. They're just trespassing. So, you know, I don't really care, you know. Uh, but still, it's not right. People just walking through your backyard, right? Uh, Bob Tishmarsh, I know. That's why you had name tags in the Navy. Yeah. Oh, hey, oh yeah, let's talk about some news real quick. I wouldn't really call it news anymore at this point because there was a letter from JIP, Japanese Industrial Partners. I don't know how old it is, but I think Bob emailed it to me about the their statement about what they're going to do with Olympus. And you know, it was all roses and rainbows and sunshine, right? That they're going to continue the line, and you know, try and continue to build quality products, and especially the lenses. I got the impression they were focused on the lenses. And you know, a lot of times when companies, particularly companies that own many companies, right? Like this is an investment company, private equity firm, whatever they want to call themselves. Uh, they sometimes they try to utilize the assets from their other companies, or to work together and sell to each other. Meaning, uh, and you know, I can't take all the credit for these examples because I saw another video on this, but they were saying that you know, like they have the Sony laptops, so you might see Sony Zuiko lenses in the Vaio laptops, right? But also I know they have Hitachi, which has their own fabrication machines for developing semiconductors. So that'll be kind of interesting if there's some kind of synergy there where they might start developing new chips as well. Um, I mean, I don't know. It's all speculation, right? You know, the proof is in the pudding, right? Remember that saying, where's the beef? At least here in the US, we say, where's the beef, right? When I start seeing new cameras and lenses from JIP, then I'll be you know, I'll have a little more confidence in the future. But even if they really try and do their best, right, in the spirit of continuing the Olympus cameras and lenses, uh, you know, market forces are always going to be the ultimate driving factor of that. So we'll see what the market holds in the future. Like I saw something today about um, uh, Blackmagic has a 12K camera, 12K, and then Panasonic has their 8K camera. Uh, my goodness, you know, video. I mean, it's just too much. I'm struggling processing 4K video on a machine that's pretty respectable, you know. Yeah, I need to update it, but it's a 6-core Intel Pentium with 12 threads, a GTX 1060, 32 gig of, you know, RAM. And then I also have high-speed NVMe SSD drives, you know, not the cheap ones, you know, but like a really good one. And I still I still struggle processing video in 4K. You know, it's running at like 3 or 4 frames per second during the rendering. I can't even imagine 8K or 12K or something. So, uh, you know, I do need to upgrade my other software here. Think about buying the paid version instead of using the free version. But that's all video stuff, right? Who cares about that? Uh, One thing though, that two common questions I got from my recent series of videos about, you know, wireless mics and doing what is it? This little video capture device was about doing continuous autofocus um, on like the EM10, right? So let me see if I can show you guys how to do that, because sometimes the video autofocus is not when you're streaming, right? Whether you use the connection through USB or you use one of these little devices. Um, Let me see if I set this up. I bought two of these. I like this so much. um, oh, I'm in bulb mode. Hold on. Let me get out of that. You go into the menu. No one even asked me this today, right? This is just you go into AF MF and then you scroll down. There it is, full-time autofocus. Just turn that on when you're doing streaming with your EM10 or EM5, and then that way it should autofocus. Let me move this down. See, like that. Now it's continuously autofocusing. So that's that. And let's see. The other question was about getting cleanish HDMI out on the EM10, which I did talk about in that video, but you just press and hold the info button down and then everything will disappear. And Walter says you need lots of GPU cores. Yeah, the GPU, and it depends what kind of processing you do in video. If it's just straight up video, um, then you need to make sure that the software is utilizing the uh, encode and decode processing units in the GPU, because the free version of DaVinci Resolve does not use the decode and encoding in the GPU. So it does use the GPU for some other processing, like special effects and things, but it's not using it for encoding and decoding. It goes back to the processor. So that's something I need to. That's one of the reasons I need to upgrade my software to a paid version. And I should see a big improvement just right there. But I'm gonna upgrade my laptop. I haven't decided either an 8 core or 12 core. Like I can get a 12 core desktop, which would definitely be a lot more powerful um, overall because of the larger power. But let's see. Um, Someone was asking me I should do a topic on computers, right? Like what kind of computers are good for photo editing and video processing. I've been doing a ton of research on it and learning a lot. That's why I'm interested in an RTX card, because it has tensor cores, which is supposed to help with like some other things too. Um, let's see. John Matthews is asking, does sound go through the HDMI on Olympus cameras if you send a mic into the camera, then after onto the capture device? It does not. At least on the EM10 and EM5. I'm not sure about the EM1. If it sends, where's my? I think it does on the EM1s and the EM5 Mark III. The EM10 definitely not. And some of the other cameras, like some of the pens. The EM1, I believe it does, but you have to select the right microphone. If you're using OBS software, you select like the Gosh, what is it called? Hold on. Let me see if I can get to that window. Someone gave me this tip in the comments section and it worked. I know the Panasonics, like my GX85, the audio goes through the sound goes through the HDMI capture device. You know, this little one I talked about. Let me see if it's this one. No, it's not this one. Maybe I can't find it now. Sorry, I can't find it. But there's a setting you need to set in OBS. I'm not sure about Skype and Zoom, but I imagine it's the same thing. It's called. I can tell you what it's called because I can see that. Where is it? It is this camera HDMI. I think I can show you. Hold on. I move this over here and add this. Yeah, this thing here. So when you pull up the HDMI camera, which is this device, you go down here to use custom audio device, and you select digital audio interface 3 USB digital audio. Because there's going to be several. This is my USB mic. This is OBS audio. This is my other USB capture device, but the one for this device that I've been talking about is this one here. And then this is the computer's internal speakers. So that's that. So make sure you set that, then see if you get audio out on your HDMI port. Oh yeah, the Canon 8K or whatever that is. Yeah, it's like you start recording and then once it overheats, you have to wait 5-10 minutes for it to come back. Hans is talking about the Sony camera, whatever. I know on the Canon, that's what I didn't know. Sony, I guess Sony A7S III or something's coming out. Randy's saying if you see a cloud in Southern California, you throw a party. That's funny. Oh, good morning, Cam. Let me catch up on the text here because I was jibber jabbering there for a while. Are human eyes able to use that resolution? I'm sure some are. I'm way too old for that now. God, I can barely see like anything anymore close up. Let's see. A video on computers would be good, Rob, as we all use one for digital photography. Okay. Get one with the new AMD 4000 processor. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at is the oh, David, hey. I was just thank you. It's David Crooks. Remember earlier in the stream, everyone, I was talking about someone kept emailing about going to see sunflower fields. I almost made it yesterday, David, but then my mom called, and I had to set up like help her with her camera security camera stuff. And then I'm making videos for her now. I'm doing screen recording on how to use different things because you can do everything online or you can do it through your phone. So it took a lot of time. I've been trying to make it, so I appreciate it. Just keep sending me emails. I don't mind. If you're going out, just let me know. It's not falling on deaf ears. I honestly really want to try to make it out there and take some pictures. Just this week, I had to help my sister move some stuff, so I even missed my whole live stream on Thursday. And then Friday, like I was saying, my mom was had some stuff, and that took me till about 7 o'clock. And then yesterday, I don't know, I was tired. I would have went though, but I didn't see any plans for yesterday. I think you guys went out this morning, right? 7 a.m. to go see the flowers. So I guess that's what you're back from, the 4th time. Wow. I'm a little jealous. I really need to get out and shoot. I haven't really been shooting in a long time. Um, oh, JClubDev says the M10 Mark IV specs are disappointing. Contrast, autofocus. Yeah, I saw the M10 Mark IV specs. So yeah, basically they're just putting a 20 megapixel sensor. So it's going to be like the Pen F, right? The Pen F has a 20 megapixel sensor with contrast detect only autofocus, and they're just going to throw in 4K video. I mean, on the surface, right? That's what it looks like. But cameras are always more than the sum of its parts, right? Uh, so that's why I really like Olympus. It's not always just in the spec sheet, but it's, you know, there's other things that, you know, you can't really put on paper when you use an Olympus camera. Oh, good. Hans got your new glasses. Awesome. Neckert says, I love contrast autofocus. Okay. Yeah, why not, right? I mean, it works fine. The only time contrast detect is really a problem is really mostly in video, right? You don't get that smooth transition. But for photography, unless there's some low light advantage to using phase detect or high speed focusing ability like in sports action, um, I don't see the problem with contrast detect for most people. Okay, Hans, we'll see you later. Let's see. robtrek, there are 4 more fields and only one is getting past peak. We have many more opportunities. Oh, good. That's good to know. I bet Walter, you know, Walter, you might want to go too. Do the sunflower thing with us. Um, and then there's a sunflower event. Oh, speaking of Walter, there's a sunflower event in August. Okay, good. I've never shot sunflowers. Never been to a sunflower field. I think I've seen in real life one sunflower in somebody's yard once. But I always see these beautiful pictures of like fields of sunflowers, and I've never gone. So I have no sunflower photos in the last, you know, the last 8 years that I've been doing photography. No sunflowers. All kinds of other flowers, right? And I was trying to figure out what kind of lens to bring. Um, oh, David, you went to Shenandoah to try the Comet. Really, in Shenandoah? Oh, the haze. Yeah, if it's hazy, you're gonna get, yeah, the light pollution's gonna bleed in. Um, I want to try and go a little bit past Shenandoah towards West Virginia, uh, so that there's even less light pollution. Or you have to go north into Pennsylvania. There's one little spot, but pretty much the entire east coast of the United States, light pollution is a mess. You really have to get out in the Midwest to kind of get a really clear sky. Um, which I don't know. I want to do a Route 66 road trip too, right? Just being all nostalgic. Just hard to find, you know, like a week off. Um, oh, nature, you've seen large fields in Bulgaria. Yeah. Oh, a step ladder. That's a great idea, Lysipius. Lysippus, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can definitely bring a step ladder. Um, just put that in my Jeep that Walter sold me. Walter sold me a Jeep. I've been driving that thing a lot lately. Oh my God, you know, I haven't filled up my gas in 2 months, and I've been driving the Jeep all week. I've filled up twice in 1 week. So much, that thing, man, that thing guzzles some gas. Good thing gas is cheap right now. That's mainly why I've been taking it out, right? Is gas is down to like $2 a gallon. So there's sunflowers near Potomac, Maryland, and west of DC. Yes. Yeah, Marsha, you can barely see stars in South Florida, light everywhere. I know, like I said, the entire East Coast on the US is saturated with light pollution. You know, when I look at the dark skies map, and that map I think is 10 years old, um, there's very small pockets further west that there's supposed to be less light pollution. But like I said, those maps are 10 years old. They're not updated very often. If anybody has access to a really good light pollution map that's more current, 'cause I think I go to Dark Skies or something. I just Googled it and they said the maps are like 10 or 15 years old. Um, Randy says, I want to do a Route 66 trip. Love the old buildings along the way. Yeah, I know, right? And regular is 310. Oh, man, that's harsh. That's probably cheap normally, right, for you guys, but yeah. Bob says, I've driven part of 66, Arizona to New NM. Oh my God, my geography. New Hampshire? What's NM? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? What state is NM? I don't understand what's wrong with me. And David says, I had a clear, nice clear area for the comet across from the sunflower field in Maryland. Check out Instagram. Okay, I will. I'll check that out. I think I follow you too, but I'll double check. I'll make sure I do when I get back on Instagram. New Mexico. God, thank you. I gotta do some brain exercises or something and flex the muscles in here because it's just getting worse. Maybe take some brain pills or something. World record for sunflower plant is 30 feet and 1 inch. Holy crap. Those flowers get 30 feet high? I mean, I know that's the world record, but even if it's half that, I'm like, seriously? Oh, play games. Maybe. Yeah. When I get my new laptop, right? I'll play some hardcore gaming. God, you know, like 10 years ago, or no, more like, when was the Xbox 360 came out? Just before that came out was the Xbox One. Whenever that came out, yeah, I was hardcore into gaming. And then I got the Xbox 360, and I think I played that about a dozen times, and then I lost interest. I think I got into photography or something. Yeah, Cherry Springs, yes. I hear is really good. That's like one little pocket in Pennsylvania that's supposed to be really clear, like no light pollution. It's like maybe it's surrounded by mountains and then the light, I don't know. But somehow they found a little pocket where there's no light pollution. And there's some drones with sunflower fields, really. Yeah, and I mean they drone everything these days, right? Yeah, I'll need a bigger ladder, that's for sure, Lay. I mean, I was thinking like a little 2-foot step ladder. I think I'll bring it anyway. I got a 6-foot ladder too, but that ain't gonna cut it. Yeah, I have sorry, I got a text. Oh my God. I just got a text from a friend of mine, Walter. Hi, Margaret, if you're watching. She's an old high school friend of mine. Oh my God. Hi. If you're here, chat something so I know you're here. Um, oh my God. I don't know. You know, a lot of my friends, other than Walter, most of my friends and have no idea I live stream. Um, course, I haven't talked to a lot of them in years and years, which is, not good, right? I should be more sociable and get out with people more. Hook up with my old friends. Oh, let's see. Bob says a 6 foot ladder and your 4 foot 6 inch will help a little. Yes. I am actually 5 foot 8.5. Last time I checked. Oh my God, she is watching. I keep getting these texts. Nice to see you, Margaret. I can't see you, but I'm glad you're here. Uh, um, and David says a step letter does help get over. I'm like a little bit embarrassed now, right? Because now people who actually know me my whole life are on, other than Walter. Walter, I get because he's into photography. He's actually one of the people that taught me a lot about photography when early on back in 2012. I remember asking him questions about like, what is aperture? I had no idea. Ah, lots of board games on the computer exercise your brain. I should do that, right? Do some do some mind games, maybe Sudoku or something instead of watching Doctor Who. I've been watching Doctor Who on Pluto TV. They have classic Doctor Who, right? Tom Baker and John Pete were. I can never pronounce his name. Those are my two favorite guys. Yeah, we both come a long way. Yeah, that's for sure. There are a lot of great. Oh, I'm sorry. The big thing for me this week is I hit 2 million views on Google Maps and 7 local guides. Oh, that's right. Randy does a lot of those Google photos. If you're going somewhere uh, that he's been, which is probably everywhere, you'll probably see a picture from Randy there. I've been meaning to try that once. Yeah, Tom Baker is a legend, right? He is he is my favorite. He I like the guy before him, John, though, too, because he was a more James Bond like, right? He would get in the fights, and then there'd be these like car chases and boat chases and air chases with a little spaceship car and all kinds of things. Um, and then Tom Baker, he's more of a I don't know, he's more of the diplomat, right? Always trying to give people alternatives to destroying the earth or taking over. John Matthews says, here's a conundrum. If you had a 12 to 40 Pro, a 17 f1.8, and a 45 f1.8, and you have to sell one, which one? It depends why I'm selling it. Uh, if I have to sell it for the money, I'd sell the 12 to 40 Pro because that's worth the most, right? If you're talking about which one would I miss the least, uh, I'd I'd probably give up the 45. That's painful though. But the 12 to 40 almost covers the 45 f1.8. And it's a lot more versatile, and the wide angle at 12 is more useful to me than the 45 for most things. So it really depends on your kind of photography. If you're a portrait photographer, you'd never give up the 45. You get rid of the 17, right? But if I needed the money, the 12 to 40, because that's worth the most, if it's for me personally and I couldn't keep one, I'd say I'd get rid of the 45 for me. Randy, you'd sell the 17, really. And Roberto, John Pertwee, thank you. That shouldn't be hard to say, right, Pertwee? Yeah, he's kind of the James Bond of all the doctors, right? And Lay would get rid of the 17 also. Wow, what's wrong with you guys? The 17 is the best lens ever. Yeah, I would. Yeah, the 45 is a great portrait lens, but I think the 12 to 40 could cover that. Let's see. It says here I just gave my M1.1 25 f1.8 and 7300 to my ex-wife. Wow, the 25 f1.8 is a great lens. You're very generous. Oh, so you don't need the, yeah, I get that. And Leon says, Rob saw Peter Forsgaard from Finland had a video on the Olympus 180 f2 that he says very rare and expensive. Why will that be? Yeah, I think, yeah, I skimmed through it a little bit this morning before I got onto the stream because I wanted to just kind of catch a few images from it. But yeah, that's a very specialized lens, so they're not going to make very many. And then the fact that it's on a mount that doesn't exist anymore, right, makes it even that much more rare. So the rarity is one factor. The other factor is that it's very specialized, right? 180 f2. You don't see that even today, really, in too many lenses. Um, so it's those two things. Now, in terms of if it does those two things alone, the rarity and the specialty of it, uniqueness of it, drive up the price. The other thing that would drive up the price is it's actually a very sharp lens. I mean, who cares if it's 180 f2, but then it's like, you know, soft, right? Nobody will care. So it must be very sharp at 180 f2, and it would be rare because it's a specialty lens to begin with, and it's a specialty lens on a mount that doesn't exist anymore. So that would be why. And Nature with Music says, I would sell the 17 and the 45 lens and just keep the 12 to 40. Use the money on a new lens. Ah, maybe. The 12 to 40 is a little bit too heavy for me for everyday use, so I would keep the 17. Um, of the three lenses, if I could only keep one, probably be the 17 for me. And Lay says, I prefer the 25 focal length. My 17 doesn't work for me, and you love the 45. Yeah, some people like a little tighter framing. I mean, I like to frame things very tight, but because I was going through my images, and Margaret says, what photo editing software can you use on a Commodore 64? None. Uh, let's see. Randy, we are still friends. I prefer. And Michael Voice says he would let go of the 17. Really? Well, you lose a stop and a third with the 12 to 40, but uh like I said, my challenge with the 12 to 40 is just, I mean, it's right here. It's the frickin' size, you know? I mean, let me unplug this thing. Look at, I mean, look at the size of that thing. And where's my 17? Look at my 17. You know, it's like tiny by comparison. This is my problem with the 12 to 40, and I haven't even zoomed it out yet. You know, if I zoom it out, I mean, seriously. Look, my hand is tired just holding it just for those few seconds already. That's my problem with the 12 to 40. Um, am I going to mention the old Zuiko ED150 f2? I'm not that familiar with that lens, but And Randy's always using the 12 to 100 f4. Yeah, it's easy to do on an EM1X. Northerners say that amateurs use zoom lenses. I wouldn't say only amateurs. Definitely amateurs use those lenses, but not only amateurs. Everybody uses zoom lenses. You know, especially, okay, let me tell you why I got a 12 to 40 zoom lens. Because I knew what it was when I bought it, a big heavy butt lens, right? But I bought it because of my video work, where I have to move around at an event, say, right? And I don't know where I can set my camera and tripod down. It's very random when you do video work for events, so I might have to zoom in or out depending where I stand in the room. So as a professional, yeah, a zoom lens is a big deal. You're not going to sit there and carry a bunch of primes and miss a moment because you have to swap lenses, right? Even for photography, right? If you're doing event photography, you need a zoom lens. It just doesn't make sense to me. And my buddy Walter here in the chat room only uses zoom lenses. I don't think he owns a frickin' prime, which I still yell at him about sometimes. But Walter, do you own any primes? And he's a professional photographer, and I don't think he even owns a prime. So yeah, the Northrops, that if those are their exact words, I would strongly disagree. But we're hearing the second hand, right? Although I trust what you say, David. I love those primes on my PL9. They really make it tick. Yes. And Randy says, I'd like to get the 75 f1.8. Why? I'm just curious because that lens has been sitting on my shelf forever. And then the only time I take it out is try to convince myself that I need it. And then I'll take a few shots with it and then I'll put something else on. I'm like, I don't want to shoot with this. I mean, it's fabulous lens, but it's just a weird focal length for me for some reason. Oh, Ulf has a 150 f2. Awesome. And use it adapted on your EM1X. Nice, nice. Oh, thank you, Enrico. Hi, great channel. It's been precious for a noob like me. I got an Olympus EM10 Mark II with a basic lens, the 14 to 42 Zuiko, and I have a question for you. Yeah, always ask. That's actually why I'm here, is to answer questions, you know. But I like to chit chat with everybody too. He says to zoom with your feet. Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, there is definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, let's forget vocabulary. Basically, you know, it doesn't hurt to go out with a prime lens and zoom with your feet and practice using a zoom lens and understand what kind of compositions you can get with a very fixed focal length, but also to train your brain to see things that you might not normally look for. Because when you have a zoom lens, you might see something and then, okay, let me zoom into this one piece. But when you're fixed at a certain focal length, you really have to look hard and try and find things that you might not normally see, right? Like with a zoom lens, you might see like this person standing next to, you know, a fire hydrant, right? And say, okay, let me zoom in and compose that, you know, the right way. But let's say you have a 17 millimeter on there on your camera. Instead of zooming out to 40 millimeters, you might say, okay, I can walk in a little closer, but maybe I can't. What can I capture from where I'm standing using a 17 millimeter? And then you start to look around, right? Everything that's in that 17 millimeter field of view. And you can say, oh, you know, I didn't notice that candle in the window next to where the person's standing. That's a lot more interesting shot than that person standing next to the fire hydrant. And then I didn't notice that, you know, there's this nice overhang of ivy that I can capture as part of the frame with the candle in the window and that person, right? And then you can say, you know, now all of this juxtaposition, we have a small candle with a flame next to a person with a fire hydrant. There's some juxtaposition there, right, of fire and water that you can capture, right? So you see what I'm getting at, right? Is, you know, going out with a fixed lens forces you to really look at the scene differently than you would if you had a zoom lens. A zoom lens, you you know, you'll see something and you'll zoom into it and take a picture, versus if you have a fixed lens, you have to really look around to see what would make sense. And then, so I think so there's that sort of train of thought, right, where people will tell you go out with a fixed prime lens and shoot with that and learn to shoot with it. um, but uh, to say that only amateurs use zooms is not accurate in my opinion. uh, Zoom lenses definitely, you know, it's a tool like any other. As a professional photographer, you know, you look at different tools and what's going to make the most sense. um, but yeah, zoom lenses, on one hand, you know, you can kind of be lazy and not force your brain to think and look at compositions. uh, so yeah, I would say some amateurs do lean on the zooming ability of the lens, and that's okay. You know, if they really want to get into photography and expand and grow and carry that journey, they will. You know, they will if they want to, but not everybody wants to. They just want to take a nice picture, right, and zoom in and out. It doesn't matter. You know, you do whatever you want with your camera. It just, I just hate it when you get these like professional snobs that tell you, you must do this, you must do this, and it's like, you don't have to do anything. You know, you do whatever you want. And if you want to expand and learn and more about photography, you know, you will, right? Anyway, that's my little mini rant. Lay says the 12 to 40 is a great lens. If I had to have only one lens, it'd be that one. Yes. Uh, it could be your only lens, right? But for me, a 14 to 42 kit lens would be my only lens. Actually, the 12 to 32 from Panasonic is my favorite compact zoom. And robtrek, it's the lens I sent a link to. Okay, I can't remember what link you sent me now, Bob. I'm sorry. Agnes says, I have the 75 f1.8 and it's great, but it's not great for street photography. It's too tight. Yeah, I would think, but what's his name? Craig Roberts went out with the 75 and tried to do street photography, and yeah, he got some tight shots. And Arthur says he uses zoom lenses, right? Yeah, I mean, and Randy, yeah, we're all amateurs if we use zoom lenses. Yes. And Walter, oh, you have the 300 f4. I forgot about that, but that's a Nikon F mount, isn't it? Um, Great lens though. Great lens. One of Nikon's best, right? And Dave says, robtrek, you should be getting a cut. The gas factor just hit me. For my month-long backpack trip, I just got a new main camera, the M1 Mark II. Well, congratulations. I mean, it's a good deal right now. It's like $1,000. Maybe 1,100 if you know, without even trying, you can buy it for 1,100. And if you really shop and try, you can get it for 1,000 or less. And if you want to go secondhand, I've seen it for like 800 bucks. Let's see. Walter says the 17 to 35 f2.8, the 24 to 70 f2.8, and the 70 to 200 f2.8. I know, right? That's all you need as a pro. Because the zoom lenses are as sharp as a prime nowadays. And you know, I said this to someone else in one of the comment sections. When it comes back to me, I'll tell you. I said this. Oh yeah, wait, it's coming. Someone asked me. Speaking of lenses, someone asked me, you know, not lenses but cameras. You know, what's my opinion? And the English was a little broken, but the gist of it was, what's my opinion between full frame, APS-C, micro four thirds, you know, what would I recommend? Something along those lines, right? And my response was basically, you know, if you shoot in low light all the time, you know, you may want to consider full frame, but you sacrifice size and weight because everything's going to be bigger and heavier. But that's the price you pay if you want, you know, the ultimate low light performance. If you're going to shoot like that all the time in a cave or in a dungeon, you know. But for most people, you know, in good light, micro four thirds is fine, and even in lower light, you know, it's fine. I don't mind that compromise in noise in low light to be able to carry a very lightweight compact system, because I will not go out with my Nikon anymore. For you know, it's not my go-to camera, let's say that, even when I go out in low light, because I don't mind that compromise. But ultimately, and this was my point, right? Because you know that argument, APS-C, micro four thirds, and full frame, has been done to death, right? We all know, or most of my viewers know, at least I think, in the live view or live stream section, know and understand the differences between the different systems. But ultimately, my point was, I said, the more you improve your photography skill, the better you become at the craft of photography, the less important the gear is, right? Because you can overcome any challenges that any kind of gear will give you. If you're a competent photographer and have a good skill set, you can use any camera and get good results. You know, and it was pounded in over and over in every video from back in the day, where it was like Cheap Camera Pro Photographer, I forget the name of the channel, where they'd have this professional photographer and they'd give him like a point and shoot, or whatever, a Barbie cam. I remember one, Bloom, what's his name? Anyway, you know, they give him the cheapest piece of crap camera, and the images were amazing. Like there was a recent one with God, the other guy's name, he's really something too. But he took amazing images, you know, with this piece of crap camera. So think about developing your, you know, if you have a camera now, do your best with that and improve your photography skill set. If that's the direction you want to go, is to improve your photography, do that with that camera as much as you can, and then you'll know better what to look for when you go out to buy another camera if you want to upgrade to something. But anyway, Nature says, Rob, go down the gym so you can lift the weight. I can carry a 4150 and a 300 sometimes with teleconverters, a lot lighter than full frame camera and a 600 telephoto. Yes. Am I wrong that the 17 is a premium lens but not weatherproof? Michael Voy is asking. Yeah, it's a great lens. I mean, yeah, it's premium without the weather sealing. And I would say that because of the build quality. It's all metal, right? It has a focus clutch, which, you know, it's kind of a big deal if you're into that. And yeah, it's definitely a very, very well made lens. So by premium meaning is you know, made with metal and has some extra features like the focus clutch, and it's a very sharp lens, generally speaking. People have been getting different sample variations, but mine has been very sharp. Randy says, I just changed my mind. And Arthur says, saying stuff about what professional use is probably from amateurs who don't know anyway. Yeah. And Enrico says, thanks. Okay. I forget what question you asked me now. Rob still needs to do the Promise 75 f1.8 photo. I know, Leon, you've been asking me forever. And Walter says, you cannot always zoom with your feet in a pro, weddings, concert. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying about event photography. You don't know where you can stand or how close you can get. So zooms are the only way to work. You just can't. Yeah, live events will restrict photographers. Walter's done a lot of concert photography. And John says the 300 Pro is very heavy lens too, but it does a great job. Yes, we're gonna see some shots from the 300 Pro. And I think it's Randy, you sent me some images, right? Uh, a link to some of your bird photography on your Flickr page. They were really nice. Um, I really like that first one with the seagull. God, you can make out the yellow eyes with the little red eyeliner or whatever it is around the bird's eyes. And God, amazing, amazing detail. You're a really good bird photographer, Randy. If that was you, I think it was you. Uh, and then John Matthews says the small lenses are at the heart of what MFT is all about. By the way, I repaired my 17's filter thread with a special tool I got from China. It's not perfect, but I can put a filter on again. Yes. Awesome. And Enrico says, when I do video using continuous autofocus, as you said in one of your videos, I got pretty erratic behavior with my lens. Image get blurry and out of focus for a second or so once in a while. Yes, yeah, contrast detect is kind of like that. It pulses sometimes. Nothing too game breaking, but I would like to get rid of it completely. Can you there's no workaround with contrast detect. You know, if you're using the 14 to 42 kit lens, um, that's your best budget option. The only other thing I can recommend is maybe get a faster lens or use more light, right? Because that lens is at 3.5 to f/6. Contrast detect system needs a lot of light, and it needs a sharp lens so that you get that contrast. Um, so if you can't get a faster lens that I'd recommend, nothing is cheap though. But forget that. There's no budget fast lens really. Um, the 14 to 42 is you're fine. Just add more light. Nature says a zoom lens comes into its own when you cannot get near the subject. Otherwise, use a prime and simply move nearer or further. There is more to that than walking. Perspective, depth of field, yes. Wow, you got a screaming sharp moon. Randy got a sharp moon with this 300. I know. That 300 f4, that's definitely on, on my fantasy list. I can't even call it a wish list because a wish list implies that there is some hope of ever getting that lens. So I have to put that on my fantasy list. Like, it's just so out of my price bracket. Arthur says regarding zoom lenses for pro photographers, it's like saying real photographers only use film. I know, right? I have a Nikon F4 that weighs about 30 pounds. The Nikon F4, wow. I think the F4 was the hated one, right? Or was it the F5? There was one model of Nikon that nobody liked for some reason. I think it was the F4. Yeah, Northrop with the clickbait. He definitely has some good titles. Any news on Rick? No, I don't think that's supposed to happen until uh, early August. So he's just prepping now, getting things in order. If anything happens, God forbid, but nothing's gonna happen. He'll be fine, but it's not supposed to be until August. Lasipa says, I have a 60mm macro fixed lens. Great macro, can shoot great shots. Yes. Portraits or landscape, but no flexibility. Give me a light 12 to 40 Pro anytime. Yeah. Make sure all the images you submit to Rob have been shot with a zoom. Oh my God. Wow, I'm way behind here. Let's see, robtrek to learn, just stay on this channel. It has helped me in many ways. Oh, I'm glad. Nature with music. Rob doesn't judge other than if you got a good shot. Can't argue with that. Yeah, I'm no one to judge anyone's pictures. You know what I mean? If you go through my film strips, or what do you call it? Thumbnails? Yeah, my portfolio is a wreck. I mean, even my Instagram, if you go through that, you could cherry pick a few images that are like, yeah, these are not bad, right? But for the most part, they're just crap. So I don't there's it's not my place to judge anyone's photo. I just edit them the way I would if they were my own photos, which reminds me, I do have a live stream where I edit people's photos coming up at 11:30, and there's a boatload of images. I skimmed them just before I started the stream. My God, so many people sent images in, so I'm gonna have to work really fast. And of course, my computer is slow as molasses today, or last night it was anyway. I was really struggling. I'm using a zoom to learn the various focal lengths. Yes, definitely, because that's what I did. Is I had zoom lenses, and then after I had thousands and thousands of images, I could sort in Lightroom. I could sort by focal length, and then see how many images I had at each focal length. Then I got a feel for, if I'm going to buy a prime, which prime should I buy? You know, to start with, because I noticed that I shot super wide all the time. I was in the landscapes back then. Uh, so I always shopped for wide primes, or I started shopping for wide primes. It's been too long for me to remember what I did in real life, but that was the theory anyway. And Viper Octave says, not a rant, but a good lesson. I'm going to try some sessions only with primes, maybe improve creativity, and then I could make better use of the zooms. Yeah, definitely. I mean, do everything, right? Why limit yourself? I mean, there's the logic to using a single prime or a single focal length. And then there's the advantages for there, as a professional, you pick your tools. It doesn't matter prime, zoom. You pick the tool that works best for your job. As a beginning photographer, you do however your brain works, right? Um, some people connect the dots differently than other people. So I try never to discourage anyone to go out if they want to learn photography. Just go out and shoot and go crazy. Do whatever feels right and whatever you enjoy. And then when you want to start to improve, like you say, gosh, I'm not really getting, the results I want. I kind of want to get this kind of thing going, but it's not working. I can't seem to get there. Then you start to research, right? And look at what other people are doing to get whatever you're aspiring to. Anyway, that's, I think I talked about it enough. Let's see. Sal Leader shot street photography with a 150 on film. Holy crap. And then Bob says, aperture mode at 5.5 or thereabouts, ISO 64, 1.4, 1/250th. Oh, that's not for me. Hi, I'm from Taiwan. There are some fans like me here. Awesome, Joseph. Glad to have you. Let's see. Oh, for the moonshot. Okay, that makes sense. 1/250 is about right. I think you could have just shot at f. For me, I would shoot it. If those were the settings you have, I would have gone to f ISO 200 and got a faster shutter speed, like at 1/500th, because you don't lose any image quality at ISO 200. All cameras have their special use cases. I have a Nikon DF with a bunch of old D lenses. Oh yeah, the DF. It's another. Now that's a camera on kind of my wish list, not my fantasy list. Um, Philip Bloom, thank you. Man, I'm way behind because I talked about that a long time ago. Philip Bloom got the Barbie cam, and he still managed out okay, right? Rob says, all you need now is the 12 to 40 Pro and a 45 to 150 Pro and a 1X teleconvert and two. I have the 12 to 40 Pro. I don't, the 45, yeah, the 40 to 150 Pro, I definitely want to get. M43 has a strong weapon for low light. It's called Ibis. Yes. You know, assuming it's a static object, you don't need to freeze any action at night, right? You know, anytime you need a fast shutter speed, Ibis is irrelevant. And 35 millimeters of crop sensor. I guess it depends how you look at it, right? And Nature says, you're always welcome to London and stay with us. Thank you. I want to try out the 300. And Mike Hammerly, thank you so much. My goodness, every week he drops in, you know, a few bucks for me. I appreciate that. Says Rob, joined late today, helping my kid in Florida move. Man, it's hot. Yeah. Had to catch up on the video and I'm live now. Oh, thanks, Mike. Yeah. I'm with you though on moving. Like I said, I was helping my sister the other day move, and that's why I couldn't stream on Thursday. Enrico says, thanks for the answer. We'll try to add more light. Oh, okay. Yeah, you were asking me about the continuous autofocus and better light. Yeah, it's mainly just light. I mean, the 14 to 42 is not the sharpest lens, so technically it doesn't have the same contrast. So maybe stop that lens down to f5.6 and add tons of light. Because at f5.6, that lens is very, very sharp, meaning it'll have good contrast. But you'll need lots of light, right? Because right now I'm at f2 on this lens. I don't know why, because I'm just using a green screen. It's not like I need shallow depth of field, right? But I have it at f2 with lots of light because I want it to be able to focus, right? And this is the 12 millimeter f2. So let's see. I have face detect on, but if I block my face, oh, that might be too close. I got nothing. Usually when I block my eyes, let me just put my hand. See? And then come back. See, with good light, but this is phase detect, the M1 Mark II and all that. I'll have to vlog with, you know, I have a video where I compare the 14 to 42 kit lens on the M10 Mark II against this camera in a video for autofocus. So I do have a video on my channel for that. And the M10 Mark II did a good job, actually. Did anybody try to take a picture of the comet? I believe some people did, but they were, you know, clouds is always an issue. Yeah, all my photos are crap, Rob, but I still enjoy getting out. Yeah, I know. I need to get out and shoot some today. But I gotta move furniture. It's stressing me, you know? Like, I went out in my backyard last night and took some pictures. I attached my 200 millimeter f4 Nikon. I adapted it to my EM1 Mark II, and pictures were crap. It was too dark. Hi Rob, didn't know that the live stream was running in the background. If you enjoy photography, eventually the results will come. Just get out and, whoops. Just don't give up or stop making photos. Exactly. And Lay says, I've done that too, Rob. Adobe Bridge to analyze my shots. Yes. Useful when wanting to travel light. I can find hard to believe that all your shots are crud. robtrek, using extended lower ISO negatively affect image quality. I don't think it's perceivable, but I'm looking at it from a technical standpoint. Because ISO 200 is the base ISO for the camera. So Olympus has decided or determined that at ISO 200, it has the best signal to noise ratio, the lowest noise in the image, you know, the most dynamic range, etc. Whenever you deviate from that base ISO, it starts to add software processing to achieve that ISO that you select outside of ISO 200. So as you know, when you raise ISO, it's not actually doing anything other than applying software to boost the exposure. Same thing with lowering ISO, it's applying software to lower the ISO. So there is there's a technical reason for it. I don't know if in practice there's any perceivable difference like there is with high ISO, right? Like if you go from ISO 200 to 400, Um, you can see that sometimes you can't. It's barely perceivable. So when you go from ISO 200 to 100, it may not be perceivable, and then from 100 down to 64, so we're at 2 full stops. Uh, can you tell a difference? I don't know. I haven't tried it. I'm more of a pragmatic type photographer. If I need ISO 64, I'll use it. um, Irregardless of the results, unless they're really bad. But when you have to pixel peep and really push the camera to its extremes to see the differences, that's where I don't go there, generally speaking. I mean, I might do it as a mental exercise or an academic exercise to see what the limits are, but as a pragmatic type photographer, those limits, either high ISO or low ISO, I don't really uh, worry about it. But that's not really an answer, right? The answer is technically, yeah, there is some degradation somewhere, but if it's perceivable, I haven't tested for that myself. And John Leach says, I had an issue with the 300 Pro and was almost to the point of returning the lens when I watched resetting the camera and learning about the menu system did the trick. The results are tack sharp. Awesome. Let me scroll down. I'm just trying to figure out if it would be better idea to ditch MFT for landscape and street photography, better use it solely for macro and tele. I don't know, I never say ditch anything. I keep everything. um Once I bought it, if I think I need something else, I'll save up and buy it later. um like, I never use my Nikon stuff anymore, but I still have it just in case, because I already bought it. But that's just how my brain works. It doesn't uh and use the Fuji system for street and wide angle instead. Yeah, I mean, Fuji's fine. I don't have enough lenses. All I have is the 12 to, no, what is this? 16 to 55. I've taken I can't remember the last time I took this out. I think I took it out once this year. I mean, it's fine camera. It's just not my go-to camera. I grabbed my Olympus. I've been itching to take out my TG5 lately. All right. Let's see. If you shoot raw, you don't need extended ISO. You can just overexpose by one stop and pull in post. This is just what the camera is doing. There is some logic to that. Uh, but the reason sometimes you should do it in camera, like raise the ISO, is because the in-camera processing of noise is different because it has direct access to the raw data from the sensor, right? Once the raw image is written, any processing that's been done is done, and it is raw, but there's still processing applied, um, so that when you take it back into post-processing and raise it one stop, it may capture more noise. You may see more noise than if you had raised the ISO in camera and saved the raw. So again, we are splitting hairs to no end here, right? Can you really tell the difference raising the ISO one stop in camera versus adding one stop in post-processing? Probably not. But in theory, technically, the processing in the camera has access to the direct raw data coming off the sensor, and in theory can process that better than you can, because Lightroom and any kind of third-party software is after the fact, and they're trying to estimate what one stop is in the camera, because every camera is calibrated a little bit differently. So there's not it's hard to explain, but software tries to extrapolate what it thinks the camera is trying to do, or extrapolate what it thinks you want, right? Versus when you do it in camera, everything's baked in and done to exactly what you want. And then you post process from there. So that's why they always say try to get it right in camera best you can, so that when you go into post processing, there's less extrapolation or artificial intelligence or whatever has to go on in the software to figure out what you wanted. If you get it what you want in camera best you can. I didn't articulate that too well, but that's, hopefully you got the idea. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to be starting my photo editing live stream, so I'm going to end this one here soon. Let me catch up on the thing here. John says, if you sell your XT30, GX85, 75 to 320 millimeter Nikon and some others, you could get a couple $1,000 needed for the 300 f4. I know, right? But that'll never happen. I did think about selling my 7 to 14 Panasonic to get the 9 to 18. That's a lens I'd probably use more than a 300. robtrek, PX your old gear for the lens you really want. Oh, I know. Yeah, I gotta find my speed booster of nature. I don't know where it is. Okay, John, we'll see you later. And I'm going down. I'm almost caught up here. robtrek, have you used Capture One? Yes. I used it extensively on a 30-day trial a couple years ago, and it's pretty awesome for photo editing. I tried to use it recently because you get a free light version with Fujifilm cameras, and I was struggling with it. Not in terms of the user interface, because I'm so used to Workspace and Lightroom now. It was hard to go over to Capture One. For some reason, I couldn't even adjust exposure. I was like totally lost. But I was very impressed with it when I used it 3 or 4 years ago on a 30-day trial. I really did use it a lot in that 30 days. But what kept me from buying it was the data asset management part of it. That kind of a little bit, but mainly because of the Photoshop side. I have to layer images a lot in post-processing in my professional work, and you just can't do that in Capture One, at least not at the time. It was the photo layering that was the problem for me. Rob, you think this applies even Olympus Workspace versus? Yes, it does apply to Workspace as well, because again, when you talk about, we were talking about adjusting ISO in camera versus adjusting exposure in post-processing. Yeah, it applies because all the processing is done in camera. It has that raw data off the sensor, all the noise data, all of the, it's not even noise data, it's noise. It's analog noise coming off the sensor, right? Unless it's we're getting a little technical, right, about sensor design. Some sensors have the AD converters in every pixel, right? They call those stacked sensors, so there's less rolling shutter. Some sensors have the AD or converters or whatever that electronics is just off of the sensor in rows. They might have multiple rows of that type of processing. But generally speaking, that analog noise is read into these AD converters and processed. And once it's processed, when you take that into post-processing, it's too late, right? So when you do it in camera, it's all done in camera directly with the raw analog data, which in theory is better. Oh, thank you, Lay. Thank you, Randy. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Capture One can't be beat for tethering. Yes, DAM is more stable in Lightroom. Okay, so that hasn't changed. Plus, Lightroom can open multiple images. Oh, okay, as layers, yeah. So it was the layering that was the big challenge for me, because I could probably get around the dam, but the layering is still a challenge. All right, so let's call it, because I got to start my other stream in 5 minutes. So I need to take a quick break before I start that, but I do the photo editing live stream right after this one normally. So thanks everybody for coming in. It was great talking to everybody again. And we'll see you guys back on Thursday, God willing. I use normal gradation, John. And just real quick, because this is a legit question, right? Auto gradation is great for bringing up the shadow area, so there's less contrast, but it's still not contrasty, or it's not too flat. So auto is really great when you have very bright and very dark areas, auto gradation, and you want to try to capture some of that. But it's JPEG only. If you're shooting raw, it doesn't matter what you set the gradation to, but generally speaking, auto is better for shadows. Natural, I use the, not natural, but the normal profile for most of my images. So I'm gonna go. Thanks everybody. I can end this. I can end it right here. There we go.